So for those of you who don't know us, I'm Bob, this is Reece. We run Legit Kit, which is a kit rental house specialising in self-shooter kit. So we started Legit 3 years ago, but before that we were actually in the weeds of the industry ourselves, working our way up through the ranks. We worked as shooting PDs, we worked as edit producers, and we finally worked as series producers. So we've been in and around the industry for about 20 years now.
Yeah, and the business was built based on our own experiences with self-shooter kit and hired-in kit. So we've tried to fix every one of those little bugbears that we all faced, and many people still do face, with hiring camera equipment. So we thought we'd do a little series that just dispels some myths and breaks down some knowledge barriers and empowers people that are actually booking and ordering kit, because there's a lot of jargon out there. There's a lot of acronyms and codes and all sorts of stuff, and some people don't actually know what it is they're booking. So we thought we would just do a little series to try and simply talk about what the camera kits that most people are hiring for unscripted are.
So the most of the cameras are Sony now. You've got the FX9, you've got the FX6 and the FX3. Now these are the three main cameras that most unscripted stuff is shot on, and the question we get asked the most is, what's the difference between them? And the honest answer is, by the time you've shot it and it's been through your edit and it goes on telly,
not a lot.
No, you really cannot tell the difference. But there are distinct differences with the cameras in terms of how you use them as tools that make each tool best for whichever type of production.
It's like any toolbox, isn't it? You want to use the right tool for the job. They all do a very, very similar thing, but they all look a bit different, and they're slightly different to use. So the FX9 is the main camera, shall we say. That was the successor to the FS7, which a lot of people used for a number of years. So the FX9 is the successor to that, and is still sort of the pinnacle self-shooter camera, really. And then a couple of years ago, the FX6 came out. Smaller form factor and some other details which we'll go through in a moment, and then more recently the FX3 then came out. So it really is a sort of big, medium and small in its most simple form.
And I'd say the most popular camera in terms of the series that we supply is the 6. It seems to be the camera that is the sort of sweet spot between size and functionality. So if you're going to shoot an obdoc, for example, most people now would go for the 6. If you're shooting anything where you're going to be on that shoulder for hours of the day, you're in tight situations, maybe like getting in and out of police cars or in a hospital or in a property series when you're in and out of flats or whatever, the 6 is the perfect camera in most people's opinion because it's nimble, gives you great pictures, all the functionality that the 9 does, give or take, and it's just all round a great camera to use. If you were going to shoot something more of a sort of sit-down interview, then shooters might go for the 9, maybe because it's their personal preference, and they argue that the colours might be a bit richer. But the 6 would also do that job. And actually, the 3, if you want to budget second camera, is a great camera and will give you the same look.
Yeah, a lot of DOPs, those that still have their own kit, will shoot on a 9. So some people might want to pair an FX9 with the DOP's FX9, so you've got the same cameras. That said, we supply lots of shows where you've got an FX9 and an FX6 on the same show. They've all got either the same or very similar sensors, and they've all got the same or very similar technology inside them, and they've all got the same and very similar inputs and outputs and stuff. So it really is, as we were saying, sort of just picking the right tool for what it is that you are shooting. So the 9 has sort of more controls on the side. The body's bigger. It just takes up a lot more space, but it means you can balance it out a lot more. So this example here, we've got a cine zoom lens. It's quite a high-end lens. A lot of sort of reality shot on this kind of lens and some beautiful interviews. All of our cameras have been built, the rigs have been built specifically for these self-shooting applications. And based on our experiences and a lot of PDs that we supply, we've now curated these rigs to what you see now. So, for example, the 9 and the 6, if we start with the shoulder rig, so they all come with a padded shoulder rig from Zacuto. So when it's on and off your shoulder, it's super comfortable. These are essential. You need a rig. Ours just come with them as standard. It's not like an extra option or anything.
The thing is with these cameras is when people are talking about the cameras, it is literally just the camera body.
Yeah.
And if you look at the 6 there, it's literally a tiny little camera.
That's what the FX6 comes with out of the box. I mean, it comes with a little screen. You can't really move it too much. You can't move it in and out or do anything with it, really. There's no viewfinder, no eyepiece. That literally is it. So it's super tiny.
So for me, like if there's any bit of take home you take from this, the devil is literally in the detail when it comes to the camera kit itself. Because Peter will say to you, I just need an FX6 kit. But an FX6 kit from one company might be totally different from a FX6 from another company. So as Reece was saying, we sort of throw everything in as standard. So when you order the camera, you are getting your power, you are getting your shoulder mount, you are getting your viewfinder loop, or viewfinder is often called, you're getting your top mic, you're getting your grip, you get headphones, you get media. But sometimes you don't get that. So just to sort of break down exactly what you're getting on these cameras is really, really important whenever you are booking anything, because the last thing you want to do is just get the camera body and then it's not ergonomical to use. The 6 is a really difficult camera when it comes to the extras for it, because it literally was built as a camera that you might put on a tripod, might do some handheld work with, but in unscripted telly, we've made it into this. I mean, not us personally, but as program makers, we've decided that actually the innards of this body is good enough to shoot stuff that you would have previously shot on here. So to make it work, this is the camera that you definitely need all these elements for as part of the kit. So you've got a padded shoulder rig. We use V-locks because it gives you weight at the back, which makes it better when it's actually on the shoulder.
Good balance.
And then when it comes to the viewfinder or the screen, which you get as a standard here, we've gone for a Zacuto setup on ours, which gives you the viewfinder so you can look down it and great under sunny conditions, or some shooters just like to use it anyway, and it gives you full maneuverability of it. Some suppliers will give you a modified kit where they will actually be able to put another loop onto it, like a standard Sony loop, but it doesn't give you the maneuverability of it. The Zacuto, even though some would argue it's slightly over-engineered, it's just fantastic at moving everywhere. And we can also actually give an option where we give an FX9 screen on the FX6s, so it does give the exact replica of this, but on a
It comes back to using the right tool for the job. So whoever's using the camera needs to be comfortable. So it needs to fit ergonomically to what, you know, their relationship between their shoulder and their eye is, for example. Depending on what lens you've got on here, it might have a super long lens. You might have to shove the camera further forward or further back. There's lots of maneuverability in sliding these cameras on these rigs backwards and forwards. And like Bob was saying, with these Zacuto setups, there's lots of maneuverability. We can move this backwards, forwards, up, down, swing it up, left, right, and centre. So yeah, we've spent a lot of time sort of perfecting and curating these rigs so that when you order an FX6 kit from us, for example, you get all of this and it's just ready to go. The 3, in terms of rigs, is a very different camera. So it has more of a form factor, the body, of sort of a DSLR, like the old sort of point and shoot stills cameras, or the Sony A7s you might be familiar with. It's got the same technology as the 6, minus a couple of bits and bobs. But in order to make it a bit more usable and to pair it with these cameras, it still needs a rig of some sort. So we have a cage that goes around ours. It literally wraps around the body, and it gives you various mounting points along the sides, where you could, slot or screw in a magic arm with a top light or an accessory like that.
I mean, generally the 3 is used on gimbals. So to get all those sort of lovely property shots, it's used on sliders because, again, it's light, so you can use a lighter slider and it's compact, and then rather than having to strip this down for like a medium-sized slider, your shooter can keep this for all his actuality or her actuality work and then move on to the 3 when they want to do the wide shots or the property shots, or, some shots that are a bit more glossy, a bit more sexy. And the other thing with the 3 is you've got a full screen and stuff on it. There's another camera you may have heard of called an A7S, and they did a Mark II, and then they did a Mark III and a Mark IV. Now, the 3 is part of the same range as here, hence where you've got 9, 6, and 3, and most people would say it's a more compatible camera with these cameras. But the A7S III or A7S IV will do a similar job. But because we're a new kit company and we're just following trends, and all of our kit's less than 3 years old, we've gone for the 3 because it's got that sort of compatibility as part of that family.
There's a great bonus with the 3, which is actually why it's sort of pipping ahead of those other sort of A7 type cameras, in that it comes with this top handle which plugs straight into a hardware port on the top of the camera, and it allows you to plug in 2 XLR inputs for your audio. We'll cover audio in another video, but yeah, it's an extra sort of step above those smaller point and shoot stills cameras, which really sort of makes this a great contender for a B or a C camera. For whatever it is you're shooting.
So just in terms of budget, the 9 is obviously the most expensive, then the 6, then the 3. To be fair, there's not masses between the 6 and the 9. The 3 is substantially cheaper, and that's why a lot of people are finding the 3 great for that second camera shot, maybe that kind of profile shot, if they've got the 6 or the 9 for an interview, because they're running all the audio into here. You can actually run all the audio into here as reset anyway, but it's just a sort of a cheaper option, and we give it with all the bars and the grip with the tripod so that you can actually put bigger lenses on there. So if you want a longer lens to go and shoot some close-ups with it during an interview, it's a great camera. But in summary, it's just all about the right tool for the job. If you saw anything shot on these 3 cameras, I'd pay anyone to be able to watch a TV program and say, that was a 3, that was a 6, that was the 9, because I think by the time it goes through the edit, it comes out the other side, and we watch it on our phones or our TVs or whatever we're watching on, it looks the same.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that really pretty much covers the basics. We're going to do a lot more of these, so if you've got any questions, anything you want to know on future videos, do say, and yeah, we'll be back with another video very soon.